Welcome back to Gears 5.
By the way, Teo,
I gotta say, sure, your gameplay of this game is
One
really
small step.
I know, considering, it's really hard to see anything in here, it's been going pretty good.
Oh no!
oh look, guys, it's an attempt. It's an attempt to make us nostalgic for the Riftworm.
Yeah, okay. Now that we're close to the end of the main campaign, I get the idea. There's all of particular referencing, particularly to Gears 2.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, Teo. Gears 2 is the most beloved among the hardcore fan base, in particular.
Which, I'll be quite honest, I still prefer Gears 3 as the top, but I can see why Gears 2...
I genuinely forgot what I said about potentially my favorite end of
I prefer Gears 3 just because I'm a sucker for satisfying finales. But I will say Gears 2 has the best score. God, the score in Gears 2 is so good. But
was that Steve Jablonski?
Yes.
But, okay, I swear, more often than not, when it comes to a classic trilogy of video games, more often than not, it always feels like the second game ends up being the most popular.
It's the Star Wars. It's the Star Wars thing, Jova, where Gears 2 is where the second entry is usually the darkest and where there's more happening, whereas the third one is there to conclude and give the happy ending and shit like that. Where was it? Yeah. In the meantime, I looked into in the sense of actually adding to that debate we were having. I looked into rewatched some of Omar 16's videos. Okay, for those who don't know, he's another Gears of War YouTuber. He makes analysis videos on YouTube of the Gears of War franchise. He's a big fan and blah blah blah. His big video on Kate, basically, one of his big arguments, Teo, is, and I can't help but kind of agree with him, to be honest, is the fact that she mostly has things happening to her rather than it's a little bit less. It boils down to the fact that the game keeps shoving her into the front of the franchise, even though she has done nothing to deserve.
Okay.
I mean, you'd rather have been shoved in the front without her anything having to do?
No, I would have preferred to play as Marcus, like most Gears fans keep saying.
Also, guys, did you notice that little character bit where Jack tensed up because he accidentally initiated the launch, which is weird. I mean, I get that Jack.
Remember what Dale said. Remember what Dale said, Jova. The interface was not made for Jack Unity, literally improvised.
Not to mention,
No. I get that. What I meant was like, I kind of find it weird.
Oh shit!
This is another thing. This is another parallel. This has to the new Star Wars trilogy, rehashing of old ideas.
Well, that's the thing, though. I never recall Jack actually showing his own form of emotion. As far as I know, he was just an AI that did stuff.
Well, no.
He wasn't one that showed off mannerisms.
Well, remember, Joe, but this is a more advanced Jack, as Barrett said in the previous part.
I guess, but it's weird that we didn't see more of that in this game. I mean, I would have actually liked to have seen more of that in the game.
Well, when I said that,
starting now.
When I was talking about reaction, I was talking about this, Jova. This where this thing is very similar to the opening bits of the Riftworm chapter. We're not going to go inside it this time, but
because it doesn't even seem like like an actual worm here, more like, I guess, an octopus.
That's right too. I don't entirely know what this. I'm guessing it's supposed to be just a giant locust snake, and that's it, basically.
No, this thing seems to be tentacles, the one wrapping around the missile launcher.
I think the thing is that we kind of only see this part of it, though. Like, well, I mean, if it's just this one or tentacle that's wrapping around us, then you have to wonder what the actual beast does look like. Otherwise, as far as we know, it's just a snake that has these pore openings, like
instead of suction cups.
It's kind of like the what's the name of that bioweapon from Resident Evil Revelations?
Oh yeah, the one that destroyed the Zenobia. Okay.
It's also
the one that's basically a giant whale turned into a zombie.
Also, Tail, like I said before, my preference would be not to continue the series, period, in general. So it's not even one of those.
But what I mean, like, if you really have to push a protagonist, might as well have something to happen.
I would pick a character that actually makes sense to be the protagonist, like Marcus, and have Mark maybe flesh out the other characters in the background, maybe, and then we can maybe eventually have a trilogy based on those new characters. But
Anyway, Dej, what I just referenced was the Malakota from Resident Evil Revelations. Essentially, you ever wonder what would happen if a whale got turned into a host zombie for some giant parasite worms? Well, Resident Evil Revelations is there to answer the question.
Oma 16 also...
Leave it to Capcom to give us answers to questions that nobody asks.
Oma 16 also brought up a good point about his, because he actually did have a video where he said, talked about what they could have done and stuff like that. And I kind of see his point as well, because the thing about Gears of War is that it's a concept that you can only do so much stuff with it before you start rehashing ideas. So it really feels like it should have just Epic Games was going to retire the franchise. For the record, it was Microsoft that decided to revive it.
Well, to be fair, each of us has proposed, different alternative ideas on how to continue.
No.
Necessarily rehashing.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, sure. The Pen on Mars would have been fine too. I'm talking about sequels. That's the thing.
That's exactly what I meant. Someone proposing, I don't know, a different kind of alien race altogether, proposing a different outcome, different types of,
I don't know.
Playable characters could be.
I don't know. I can't.
There have been comics that have shown that, yeah, it would have been possible to make sequel ideas.
Hell, Pedro, you yourself have mentioned that just a prequel trilogy based on, prequel set of games or one game based on the Pendulum Wars alone would suffice.
Sure, that's what I said.
More so about sequels in that regard, but okay,
I was talking about sequels too.
Oh, in story sequels, okay.
The series reached the storyline. In Gears of War 3, the series reached its natural story conclusion. Just leave it concluded. There's absolutely no can I talk? You know what I miss? I miss the days when it was allowed for a franchise in the story to just end naturally instead of.
Oh my God, Lara Croft.
That would have. I miss those days before we had to sequelize everything.
Anyway, but
Pedro, I hate to break it to you, but what were those days? Because it feels, from my experience, that's been going on even before you were an adult.
Oh my God, here's the thing. Son of a gun, this is a ripoff of the Malakota. It's even got parasites coming out of its mouth.
It's more it's more tremors based. It looks like it's kind of like one of the graboids, even the beak structure and the snake-like tongues.
But yeah, there you go, Theo.
You were saying, Pedro, though?
Well, there were some, I can think of some, like the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy so far has yet to receive a 4th entry.
Yeah, you said so far.
Well, considering
Dejimon was mentioning even before, with stuff like horror franchises, like say Halloween, or Hellraiser,
Friday the 13th, which was meant for was like the final chapter,
or Nightmare on Elm Street, and even before that, thanks to
Terminator, it was like, man, that peaked after
that's still more modern Dej. I'm talking about old days. Even with the crazy stuff of the Italian nuts like Bruno Mattei, and Lucio Fulci and Claudio Fragasso, who franchised the shit out of everything. So.
Hey, thank you, guy, for making our exit.
I think it cannot see properly.
It's more okay. That's the thing too. Like even if I'm gonna go to here, I'll just use the most simple argument that I see from most Gears fans. Gears fans want to play as Marcus. They don't want to play as Kate. There you go. That's the problem basically. It's the same thing with Locke. People that don't want to play as Locke, they want to play as Master Chief. And a lot of fans don't understand why can't they just play as the protagonist that they grew up with, basically. Go ahead.
Like, okay, there always needs to be a reasonable balance between what the fans want and, of course, what the creators or producers want to do. But that being said, if the producers are just doing what they want to do, damn whatever the fans think, then they shouldn't always be surprised when there will be fan backlash.
Of course.
Okay, this kind of situation kind of reminds me of things that have been happening with movies recently. Like, remember It was the fan backlash that got the Sonic design changed. The Sonic.
Oh, thank God for that.
I will agree with.
Oh,
I do agree with one thing Chris Stockman said in his review of the Sonic movie. In that, we should really be careful how much power regular people have over artists, because one thing that I do get worried about is that it's gonna get to the because if this thing keeps happening, it's gonna get to the point where we might as well just have the fans write the story.
Honestly, Drips,
I'm sure that Pedro can write a good Sonic story.
Honestly, Drips.
Honestly, sometimes it is better if the fans.
Yeah,
Well, it depends.
Okay.
Star Trek. The last Star Trek movie before the Kelvin Timeline reboot. I forgot what it's called.
You have to be a professional in order to work in it. Instead of, I'm a fan of product, cool, but are you talented to write it?
Oh,
Yeah,
exactly.
There's a fine line between a fan writing a competent story and just writing fan fiction.
That's the thing. Honestly, Drips, right now, the professional.
An Ian Flynn and a Chris.
You said
Chris Chan.
Yes, we baked him alive. Anyway, let me elaborate. I am not saying that automatically fans will always be able to make the better stuff, and yes, fan entitlement can be a problem here and there. My point is that there are some times where, sometimes it might not hurt to listen to the fans, because, they more often than not,
How about this?
probably know what they want.
How about this? It's basic commerce. Listen to your fucking customers if you want to sell your fucking product. Imagine if I stop.
Again, it depends. Because it's like, okay, yeah, let's say you have an idea for a story and you want to do a change. However, people are saying this is bad right from the get-go without giving it a fair chance. Now, say the product comes out and then it turns out to be bad, then you can listen to fan feedback so you can improve.
The problem is that sometimes companies will only focus on, this didn't sell well. Well, that means we gotta kill off the franchise, which is why.
It's like when,
Well, Teo, that would be spoiling now, wouldn't it?
okay.
It's like when the more insane
I love how.
It's like how
No, wait, let Dwimps make his point. I want to hear this.
It's like when the more insane MCU fans kept trashing Fox and Sony movies before they even came out, just because they're not MCU movies.
That's nice. Anyway.
I mean, to be fair, trailers are meant to.
So what now,
make it.
Pedro?
I'm trying to. Anyway. Well, yeah, Act 3 ended very suddenly, didn't it? Now we're here. Okay, moving on.
Oh, that was the end of Act 3.
Yes, that was the end of Act 3.
Well, they did what they had to do, launch the satellites about the...
No, I get that, Teo. It's more so the pacing, the way it's paced. Like, it feels like the story feels rushed.
So do they say this really is the Gears 5?
It's like,
or something?
Well, gee, guys, it's almost like we wasted a lot of time spinning our wheels, and only now we're starting to pack story details in closer to the end.
Hey. Thank you, by the way.
We're friends again now.
Yeah, we're friends again now, apparently.
By the way, we don't really need to focus on your relationship with Dell, though, even though he was your great friend, because I'm the one that matters.
Well, like you yourself said, Joe, at this point, Dell is nothing but the black best friend. Seriously.
Again, he was JD's best friend, but I guess now the game doesn't care about his and Dell's relationship.
I guess not. Oh, Baird, Iris, please, have some banter, please. No.
Please, something funny.
Sorry, guys, we got a plot to get back to. I guess we're not even gonna bother with the upper command possibly getting on our tails, even though we're back at their base.
Hold on.
Well, for that, we're gonna need a test fire.
Forget test fires. We need an actual target.
If we're selecting targets, shouldn't someone with real military authority be here?
It's Foz, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Shut the fuck up.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcus. that's the one
title there.
That's
That's possibly the best usage of Foz as a character.
Not
Having
just-
Marcus tell him to stow it.
Not just that's the one moment that Marcus in this game actually resembles his original trilogy self.
Well, when he's actually on screen.
That too, yeah.
Oh god, he looks like Joel.
I'm sorry, what?
Well, he's most well,
I can assure you that he's more bulky.
Deji.
Yeah, but I'm talking about facially. Is that beard?
Not everyone who gets a beard is equivalent to Joel.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Oh, no. To be fair, I get what Dej means, though. It's the beard scaling.
Oh, boy.
and the face.
I mean, by that
There
logic,
we
Santa
go.
Claus is Joel.
Dwarves, I swear, you need to stop doing that.
Can we please?
Actually,
I am okay. No, if we meet up, then don't be surprised if you.
Hold on.
That linked me to the hive mind is
Mm.
dead. We killed it, by the way. You're welcome. And considering that I don't trust you at all, I'll have to decline.
You have no option.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Well, gee, what did you think was gonna happen after a response like that?
Ma'am.
So it's mutiny then.
We don't really have time for this.
Multiple security breaches. Old Ophira ruins.
External camera 16. External camera 15.
Oh no, it's Freddy Fazbear.
Damn it!
Wah, wah.
We're going out there.
Gee, I never would have figured that out. No. It's just a lightning storm hitting the cameras.
Must end this. Lady, what the fuck do you think I've been doing?
Seriously.
Whining throughout the entire game.
Not just that, Dej. Another thing that Omar 16 brought up again is the fact that she wants respect from other people, but she never offers respect in return. She's constantly being angry at everybody.
He really has respect out of Jean.
Well, I mean, she
Hey,
did fight me earlier.
Yes, that's
she-
right. Even though we had a,
Hey, Clayton.
well, even though his niece died, maybe he'll be able to survive till the end of this.
He should be out on his own though.
Where do we plant our beacon?
East Barricade Academy. Once it's in place, you'll have a live hammer radius, and you can start hitting back. We clear?
Clear.
Are you sure you're gonna be fine?
Not gonna lie. It's real.
There's a meme. For those who don't know, Gears fans love to use that when they talk about the Gears 5 multiplayer. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's real. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's real ugly out there.
So, time to tackle the final chapter or arc or
Actually,
whatever.
that's a
these
good
sections
question.
are.
Remind me again, Pedro. Usually the other Gears game, or at least until the end of the trilogy, it normally had 5 acts, right?
Yes, this one only has 4.
Hmm.
Again,
really?
it's because I think it's becoming pretty obvious that this story was rushed as fuck.
Okay,
Definitely.
that I can definitely see that. Not in a sense of missing pieces, but really just the fact that we're almost at the end already.
Again, the problem is that it doesn't feel like much has happened
No.
because much literally has not happened. We essentially had like, oh, this earlier war thing a few years or months ago that doesn't really affect the plot at all,
Yeah.
except that it has JD acting more moody, and well, that's already dealt with.
Rod,
Once you sever,
Tom, here's a tip for you in the future. Character conflict and backstory alone are not a plot. Aside from those elements, you also need a plot. Otherwise,
It was a bit too late for Rod right now.
well, yeah, I know, but you get my point.
but seriously though, so the whole JD thing that pretty much got solved in the semblance of 10 minutes, counting the actual story time, and that's being generous still. Then after that, we basically severed Kate's connection with Myrna, but whatever. Myrna's pretty much back anyway. For
Reyna, you mean?
the corpse?
It's Reyna that's not a queen. Mira's still technically dead.
Hold on, let me finish. Myrna is back via the skin suit of Reyna because again,
sure,
Reyna's
I guess.
pretty much just Well, I mean, Reyna's pretty much just acting like Myrna because the Reyna we know would never really go through with this. So...
Would she? That's the thing, Joe. I don't know. The Gears 4 never really gave me any time to get to know her, so for all I know, maybe she was evil all along. That's the thing.
Well, I mean, to be fair, what we did see was her urging her daughter to kill her so that she doesn't become
Not
the
to
new
mention, much
Locust
like
Queen.
McKay, Reyna herself is more of a rebel against the authority of Jin, so you'd think she will never bow to something like Mira.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Myrna's her mother, actually, does she
Thank
even
you,
know
Cole.
Mira well?
No,
By the way, yeah, so that's code inside that.
that's a problem, Joe. But we never know if Reyna even know. Like even Gears Tactics doesn't really explain that. Like,
I have a bit of a theory.
Considering
here.
she was actually not kidnapped, but essentially, got away, like from.
Also,
from
this.
I don't. Oh, that's low. Oh,
Yeah,
my God,
this chapter is destroying my Xbox One. So.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Oh, guys, I have a bit of a theory here now that I think about it. So, as we mentioned, there have been a lot of pauses in the story. I can't help but wonder, what if originally a lot of these blank spots in the story were going to be filled with, flashback sections where we were playing as, say, Myrna or Reyna or whatever to reflect on that here and there, or, reflect on their past, kind of like being the ROM shadow to... the main stuff with them shooting, Kind of like how in ROM Shadow, you occasionally have bits where you played as ROM, and bits where you played as the Gears.
Here's an idea.
The whole story being frozen thing, I thought you were talking about the frame rate.
Here's an idea. Here's an idea for the DLC of this game. Instead of having an irrelevant story to this one, why not actually have the DLC show us what Faz and JD were doing during Act 2? That would at the very least be a way to properly flesh out the story better.
Or hell, to continue the theming, why not let us play as Myrna? The Locust Queen. Like, we've already gotten a taste of what it could be like to play as the Locust, and people who play the multiplayer get a taste of that as well. But imagine getting to play as the Locust Queen herself. I mean, the story practically revolves around her for Act 2.
All right, sorry. Before we get into that, Pedro, I have to say, it's really cool that you're recording this for your Dazzle.
Oh God!
That's the thing. Okay, like I said before, if Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima can run just peachy on the base PS4, what exactly is this game's excuse?
Yeah,
more optimization and they were focusing more on selling you an Xbox.
The weird thing, though, that I will instead raise is the fact that Unreal 4 as an engine has always been marketed as being very easy to run on any kind of system. Even
Yoshi's
with
the ones on Unreal Engine 4.
Sorry, Dej?
The Yoshi game on Switch runs on.
Well, yeah, but in general, again, to be easy to make run of. So again, the fact that its performance, I guess it's really easy because of the Xbox One architecture. Remember, we're still talking about a console that had to be hastily reworked in its last month of, the building essentially, because of the different features that had to be scrapped and replaced.
Well, okay, Teo. In that case, explain to me why Gears of War 4 doesn't have this issue.
I don't know. Again, I'm not a game programmer, but I can speculate it's because of internal architecture.
Honestly, I just think the Coalition are poor pro developers, to be honest with you. In
that case, let me use the same question and ask me, what happened with Gears 4 then? Why did that work instead?
Well, I don't... Hold on. How am I supposed to know?
Hold on. Children. I think it's a bit of everything you kids all said there in that regard, though. I think it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, throw in a touch of mediocrity, a sense of poor planning, good ideas, bad execution, and voila, the masterpiece dish that is Gears 5 and all its somethingness. I think it's a combination of everything you guys said. Again, I feel like the Coalition do have the potential to do better than this, but it may have just been about where they were really focused on optimizing this to really show off how it's best played on the Xbox One X, but that was still a dumb move to make if that was a part of it. Nothing is out of the realm of possibility in that. What we do know from conclusion is that the result is not good. And okay, even if we are playing this on the Xbox One X, the core game itself still sucks.
There you go.
So, anyway, where was that? Oh yeah, the story here. Not much really happens, and like, why not have a lot of these blank bits be filled up with stuff from Myrna and Reyna's past? Because you know, have it be a theme. Hey, you want to get us to care more about Kate? Why not show the history of the matriarchal lineage here, showing how stuff has changed from her mother to her grandmother and so on, and then ending with her essentially. Like, even if it does end up with her being the bad guy, how interesting would it be to actually see someone turn from the human side to the bad guy side in a story? That would legit be something we haven't seen before, but there would have been a good enough reason for it. And before anyone says, oh, but that technically happened with Reyna, no. If it happened with Reyna, then that's technically off-screen at best when she became the new Locust Queen. And like I said, it's pretty much just the spirit of Myrna wearing her as a suit. Because as far from what little we got of her, Reyna would not do any of this. Unless she was heavily mind-controlled or whatever. But all the same, it just really harkens back to the wasted potential.
Academy's clear.
Like, you could have done something amazing with the story. But no, you have such empty spaces which really expose how little you apparently had planned for the story. Unless, God forbid, this story is just a means to an end. Which, don't get me wrong, stories like that can be good, but when a story is literally nothing more than a means to an end, looking at you, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, you're bound to run into problems.
This is it also boils down to the problem that I mentioned before, because remember, this studio was originally going to be making a new IP for Microsoft, but then Phil Spencer said, nope, you guys are going to be relegated to just making more Gears. So
the ill intent wore off into the development of this game.
So forcing those developers to give up their passion original project probably wasn't a good idea either. Like the developers are working on something that they never asked for, you know. So that so I get the feeling there's also some amount of that's also where the lack of passion comes from. Like the fact that this is not something that they signed up for originally. You know,
so I never asked for this.
Basically, yeah. All right, see you for the next part, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.